Well, welcome you again. It's Tuesday night, and it is time for Crazy Chris's Rants. I have my Marvin the Martian t-shirt on. Of course, I'm Marvin the Martian fan, and that's one of my favorite ones. So we're going to get into it. This video is probably not going to be that long because wasn't a whole lot going on, and for the next couple weeks, there's not going to be a real whole lot going on anyway. Because football's over, and so all we'll have left for a while, NASCAR will be starting here in about a week or so. So we'll try to incorporate some NASCAR in, and of course baseball won't start until about April or so. So we'll get into some of that as well. But we'll basically be covering wrestling, hockey, and basketball. For those that are interested, we're going to try to keep up with all that. First of all, we'll go over everything that happened during the week. In Impact Wrestling, Jordynne Grace wins a triple threat match for the #1 contender for the women's title. I think she's had a couple of championship opportunities before. Some of the matches that she's had with the champion Taya Valkyrie have been pretty good matches up to this point, so we'll see what they're going to do with her. Also, she's tilting the line between heel and face, so we'll see what they decide to do with her, and also if they decide to make her, they'll have to choose one way or the other, because really, as anybody knows, you can't walk the line between both of them in the company. Valkyrie right now is a heel, so Grace would almost have to be a face until she wins the title, and then maybe they could turn her heel, kind of like what WWE did with their with Bayley. Whenever she became the champion, she was liked, and then she was. If you see a tail popped up, it's one of the dogs. I'm not sure what he's doing. He's back here behind me, and he's huffing and puffing, so I'm not sure what he's doing. But anyway, also, Michael Elgin won a first in a best-of-5 against Eddie Edwards. They're having a best-of-5 series match. The only other 2 times I can remember this happening were in the one was, I think, maybe in WCW. The other was in WWE, and those were. I think one was Booker T, and it may have been Chris Benoit. The other was WWE, and I think that one was between Sheamus and Cesaro, if memory serves me right. So we'll see how that goes. It's a nice way to carry a rivalry, but you have to have certain different matches to make it an interesting thing, and to make it interesting to the fans. So we'll see what they do. This first one was just a regular type of match, and Elgin, of course, wins that one. The Astros in baseball, the Houston Astros hired Dusty Baker as their manager. A lot of people remember Dusty Baker. I believe he was with the Cubs and with the Giants before. He may have coached a few other teams. He's one of the coaches that's been kind of around the league, and he's been in the league for a long time. Knows how to win. So the Astros, of course, they cleaned out their front office, and they got some other people coming in, and we'll see if they can do what they need to do, and maybe put that scandal behind them. Also in the NXT, Tommaso Ciampa, he lays out the Undisputed Era in the back with I believe it was a lead pipe. He laid the 3 of the members out in the back before coming down and facing Adam Cole in the ring, and he powerbombs Adam Cole through a table. So we'll see how that goes in the next couple of weeks. Would like to really see Ciampa kind of beat Cole for the title. I think they're planning to put Ciampa in a baby face when they face territory and make Cole and some of the Undisputed Era the heels in that one. We'll have to see how that goes. Let's see. Ciampa signs the contract for the title match after powerbombing Cole through the table, so they will face each other at the next pay-per-view. Now, Pete Dunne and Matt Riddle defeated the Grizzled Young Veterans to win the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. It's kind of a different team, and the guys that are the Grizzled Young Veterans, this was a really good match between these two teams. I had never heard of the Grizzled Young Veterans until a couple weeks ago with the tag teams. They're pretty good. Pete Dunne and Matt Riddle are a pretty good team as well. Dunne is known as the Bruiserweight, and Riddle is known as the Original Bro. Riddle has kind of an offbeat kind of style with, he's not really a strong power wrestler. He's more of a, I guess you would call him maybe a technician and maybe a striker. And that complements Pete Dunne's wrestling ability, because Dunne is actually, he's kind of a tough power wrestler, and they complement each other. One's kind of a striker, the other's, like I said, kind of a burly wrestler. So those two kind of complement pretty well, and they defeated the Grizzled Young Veterans. Take nothing away from the Grizzled Young Veterans team. They gave them a really good match. It looked like it could go either way, and Riddle and Dunne pull out the win. I think they have a team name. I'm not sure what it is. It's like Bruiser Bros or Bro Weights. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what it is. The name's not really stuck really good with them, so I don't even know if they're even going to use that, or even if they're even going to be a tag team past this. So it's really hard to tell, because there have been tag teams that have come out of this that have been teams that they're just not teams anymore after that, or after a title shot. So they may not even be that. So we'll see in the coming months how that works out. And there wasn't really anything that happened in AEW. They were just kind of building stories toward their next pay-per-view. Couple of matches here and there, but nothing really caught the attention of, nothing really caught my attention as a major that needed to be brought to the forefront. It's been the same kind of stuff as it's been, and just moving storylines along on that. Let's see. Now on SmackDown, The Miz and Morrison beat 3 other tag teams in a fatal 4-way match for number 1 contenders. And what I find interesting about this fatal 4-way match is WWE has had kind of a bad history of kind of screwing up and giving away the ending 2 matches before the match even gets started. The New Day is the tag team champions on SmackDown. They are a face team. The other 3 teams that were in this matchup were the Lucha House Party and Heavy Machinery, and then there was one other team. I'm thinking it was Mojo Rawley no, it was Zack Ryder and whoever his tag team partner is at the moment. So when you have a face team as tag team champions, you need a heel team to face them as tag team champions. The only heel team that was in this matchup was The Miz and Morrison. As soon as the match begins and I see the 4 teams, I know who's going to win. I don't care how good you build the storyline and how much you show up. It's going to be that one team. You know it's going to be that one team, because that is the only heel team in the match, and you have to have a heel versus a face. For some reason, in wrestling. It's something that kills me because sometimes you'd like to see a heel versus a heel for a championship or a face versus a face for a championship. It draws, but for some reason you always have to have the good versus evil type of thing with the heel versus the face, and they use that all the time. It's just something that drives me bonkers, drives me bananas, but it's something that they've been doing for years. But it's like, if you're going to make a tag team number one contenders title match like this, you need to put another team in there that we think could win. The only team that could optionally win this match would have been Heavy Machinery, and there was just really no way that they were going to pull the trigger on that one and let that go. There was just no way that was going to happen. So, I mean, it would have been nice to have seen it, but it didn't happen. I'm not saying anything bad about The Miz and Morrison. I'm just saying they should have had something a little bit different, a little bit better in that matchup. Again, let's see. Braun Strowman beats Shinsuke Nakamura for the Intercontinental title. This is Braun Strowman's first title. First singles title. Let's see how long they let him keep it. The fans have been wanting him to get a singles title for a long time, and he finally gets one. He'd had the tag titles before, but this time he wins a singles title. It's the Intercontinental. Let's see how long they let him hold on to it. Let's see if it goes anywhere. It needs to go somewhere, and he needs to hold on to that title for a little while because he is one of the bigger stars in the company. The fans have been wanting to see this for a long time, and we're finally getting it. So let's not kill it off in a short time span. Let's not kill this off. Let's use it to your advantage. You need to do that. I was thoroughly happy to see it. I thought Nakamura's reign had kind of run, and it was kind of becoming really stagnant. I mean, sometimes you would see him. Sometimes he'd wrestle, sometimes he wouldn't. It was just kind of becoming really boring, and nobody wants to see that after a while. I mean, and not to take anything away from Nakamura. He's a good wrestler, but you just have to do some different stuff sometimes. We're going to talk about the Super Bowl. Of course, the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes was the MVP. I know I said that the 49ers would probably win, but I kind of wanted the Chiefs to win because this is the first Super Bowl win, and this is the first Super Bowl they've had in about 50 years. So they were long overdue for one. Sorry to the Niners, and it was a good game. And yes, there were calls on both sides of the ball. I know what people are going to say, but there was calls on both sides of the field that could have been this, could have been that, could have been this, could have been that. But it kind of even, in my mind, it evened out. It evened out. And, you know, a lot of people are going to say, oh, this play this, this play this. This is one of the better Super Bowls we've seen in years. Because, you know, you had, probably the last good one was the Patriots losing to the Eagles. Because last year's Super Bowl was awful. It was the Rams against the Patriots. It was low scoring. It was boring. And really, to tell you the truth, and I don't care if you're Patriots fans. It gets boring seeing the same team in there all the time. You don't want to see the same team in there all the time because it's ridiculous. And them not being there, it was a good thing. Of course, Belichick and Brady still found ways to get into the Super Bowl to get noticed. I guess they needed to get their airtime on there because they weren't playing in the Super Bowl this time, which everybody could have done without seeing them. Could have done without any of that. We didn't need to see all that stuff out there. Let's see. The Vernon Davis, who is now playing for the Washington Redskins, had played for San Francisco 49ers. He announced his retirement. He is going to be retiring. He's one of the better tight ends to have played the game. So bad to see him go. We'll see if he stays retired or if, like some of them, he retires and then he comes back after a little while. I don't think he will. But you never know. And sometimes they surprise you and they pop back up. Let's see. Chargers head coach Anthony Lynn gets an extension. This is one of those head-scratching things. This guy's been there, I think, for the last couple of seasons, and he's got a winning record. I mean, yeah, you can keep him there for an extension and keep him there. I don't know what they're going to do, though, next year because they're thinking of moving on from Phillip Rivers. I don't know if that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing because I really don't know what they're going to do with their quarterback situation. I don't know if they're going to draft one. I don't know if they're going to try to trade somebody for one. I don't know if they're going to try to trade Rivers, if they're going to see if he's going to just quit, if he's going to go in the free agent market. I'm not sure what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. All I know is the coach is going to be staying there. So maybe we'll see what he can do if he gets some other pieces into play. And we'll see what happens there. The Pats are willing to give Tom Brady $30 million per year to stay there. I don't know, and I really don't care where Brady ends up. Pat's wanting to pay him for $30 million a year to stay in New England. He can stay in New England if he wants to, or he can go somewhere else. I just wish he'd kind of just retire and be done with it. I'm kind of tired of seeing him everywhere and everything. I mean, yeah, he's probably a good player, but at the same point, it gets repetitive and gets real boring. And I just really don't care where he goes or anything. But the Patriots just offering to give him $30 million. You gotta look towards the future because Brady's getting to the point to where, and people seen it in the postseason in the playoffs, where he was just not what he has been. He's not what he has been. So $30 million's a little bit too much for him for the way that he was playing this last year. So we'll see if he goes somewhere or if he stays there. We'll see what happens. Lamar Jackson won the MVP of the year despite dropping the playoff game. He had an extraordinary year, but man, that game against Tennessee, he laid an egg. He just really did not do good whatsoever in that game. And I mean, yeah, toward the middle to the end of it, he was trying to carry the team, but you could just see, they were just getting beat. I think maybe it might have been the week off. I'm not sure, but they looked like they had no idea, no answer for Tennessee when Tennessee was there. So, I mean, still, he won the MVP of the league, which is good. We expect good things from him, but buddy, you gotta win in the playoffs. You gotta show up. That's why I tell people all the time. These guys, they win the MVP. We need to wait until the entire season is over, Super Bowl and all, because you get people like in the playoffs, like Nick Foles a couple of years ago. Nick Foles had not won an MVP or anything. He was off the radar, and then all of a sudden, Wentz goes down, Foles goes and leads them to the Super Bowl and to the championship, and he's gone the next season. And like I said, he would be the MVP, of the league, because he got him there. Everybody else got him there. Worked with him and everything, got him there. And it's just one of those things where they should wait until after the season to decide that, because it's a big deal, and they should wait. Another thing to note is Mahomes did win the MVP, like I said, of the Super Bowl. Andy Reid, as a coach, finally got a Super Bowl after so many seasons. Glad to see him win that. Mahomes actually, in my opinion, broke maybe the Madden curse. For those of you who don't know what the Madden curse is, Madden releases a football game every year, and they always have a athlete on the cover, a star athlete on the cover. Usually, after that athlete appears on the cover, he either gets injured, he gets a career-ending injury, or he ends up being garbage later on. The only two exceptions to this rule have been, actually there may have been three exceptions to this rule, have been Brady, Gronk, and Mahomes. So maybe Mahomes finally broke the streak and broke that bad luck curse that is synonymous with Madden. So we'll hope for that anyway. The Panthers released Greg Olsen. That's kind of a surprise with that. Pretty good player. We'll see where he ends up at, because I'm sure somebody will need him and somebody will pick him up. Also, I wanted to add in something. Normally we don't do this on here, but it was brought to my attention by my cousin Jim, who watches, kind of follows and touches up these videos. We know that last couple of weeks we had talked. Well, I think last week we talked about the Kobe helicopter incident that claimed his life. There was another thing that went on, and it was 2 Air Force pilots were killed in a crash in a U.S. military aircraft. These 2 men, they don't think that the aircraft was shot down. They think maybe it was the conditions where they were. But it is something that needs to be brought up. It was not like brought up big time in national news, and it's just something they need to bring this stuff up every so often, because I mean, we got people, we got military people that are over there that are risking life and limb and everything, and something happens to them, and then something happens to a superstar, and all you hear about is the superstar. You never hear about anybody in the military or anything. And I mean, everybody, their lives are as important, as over here, and things. And they're doing things over there, and a lot of times it gets overlooked because a lot of times we don't, in our society, we don't, it's always about the me factor almost, and we just don't put a lot of emphasis on things that are going on. Sometimes we don't notice things. Like I said, I didn't notice this until it was brought to my attention, and I just wanted to add it on to hear, that these two gentlemen that were, Air Force pilots are now gone because of a crash, and we just want to remember that, that there is more going on than what is over here on our shores. There is more stuff that is going on than just over here. On Raw, Ruby Riott returned. She attacked Liv Morgan. Don't know what they're going to do with that. We'll have to see how that goes in the next couple weeks. I kind of figured she was going to attack her, but I wasn't real sure what we were going to do with it or where it was going to go. I'm still not sure. And another thing, there was a #1 contenders match for the heavyweight championship between Ricochet, Bobby Lashley, and Seth Rollins. Drew McIntyre is scheduled to face Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. I talked about this earlier, and it gets to me again. You have 2 heels and 1 face in the match. Lesnar is middle of the road, but he is considered a heel. At the next pay-per-view, which is the one, I believe it's in Saudi Arabia, it's a Crown Jewel one, you're going to have Ricochet, who won the match, face off against Lesnar. Lesnar is already slated to face Drew McIntyre for the title at WrestleMania. So let me tell you what happens here. I figure Ricochet's going to win the match because he's a face. They're going to have him face Lesnar at Crown Jewel. Lesnar is going to win the match. I can already tell you Lesnar is going to win the match. They may try to make it exciting. He's going to win the match because they're going to have him at WrestleMania against Drew McIntyre. I can just tell you what's going to happen already. I already know. It's not hard to figure out. Like I said, don't even know why we even have the match. Don't know why we have the main event, the pay-per-view. Half of the time at this pay-per-view that's coming up, the belts do not change hands. They usually have to put specialty matches in here to draw crowds because, honestly, they can't hardly do anything. And if they have it in Saudi Arabia or over there again, we may not have the women's wrestlers because they have a hard time getting women's wrestlers over there to wrestle because over here we have the freedom of being able to have things like that. Over there, the women are supposed to be covered up, except for their eyes, and it's just not something they're supposed to do. I think they've gotten away with it. I think they've dressed them up more, maybe gotten away with it a couple of matches, but it's something that just don't happen over there. The Knicks fired their president, Steve Mills. I don't know what to tell you on this one. The Knicks are just not doing good this year. Maybe they're thinking maybe that they'll clean house and maybe they'll get some people in and try to do something, try to make it a little bit better or something. Mark D'Antoni steps down as Michigan State football coach. He's been there for a while. And it comes as a shock. He actually said that he's going to stay at the university in another role. He just don't know what it's going to be yet. And there was nothing behind it. I guess he's just stepping down. And I'm not sure if it's health problems. I'm not sure if maybe he just thinks it's time. I'm not sure. Packers' Willie Wood passed away. Willie Wood, an old Packers player. He was around and he had played for all five of Vince Lombardi's championship teams. I take it that he was a defensive back. I had not heard of this player. Obviously he was pretty good, and obviously he was a good tackler. From what they said, that he was one of the best in the league. He had quite a few interceptions in his career. Played for the great coach Vince Lombardi on some championship teams, and as it goes, he it's one of those that's back at that time just didn't get the spotlight like some of them did. And, he was just as integral part of winning the championships as, anybody else on the team. Yes, I was trying to say that very, very fast, and it did not come out right. The last thing that we're going to go over is the Astros hire former Rays Vice President of Operations as their GM. I forgot to write down the gentleman's name. I think his last name's Click. So he's going to leave Tampa, and he's going to go to Houston, where they're doing that rebuild and getting rid of everybody. We'll see how that goes. Like I said, Houston's trying to get their affairs in order. They're going to try to do that and see if they can't get something working. See if they can't get that stain off of that sign stealing controversy they had going on. They cleaned house and got out through there, so that will be interesting. I'm doing streams of Final Fantasy 1. If some of you have not noticed, I am trying to do kind of shorter streams, but I'm trying to go through the game. If for some reason I stop a video and I start a video and I'm somewhere different and I show you the equipment and the magic, that means I have kind of leveled up off stream, so that you don't have to sit there and watch the whole leveling up process. And I will show you, like what spells I have bought and what equipment. By no means are these streams to tell you exactly what to do on the game. It's to give you a thought process on how I play the game and what I find to be easiest for me. It may be totally different for you. I had a friend that used to play Final Fantasy, and he would have the warrior, he would have the thief, and he would have a red mage and a black mage. And like I said before, Jim had gotten through the game with 4 monks. If anybody really wants to see him do that, he may do it again. If you ask him to, he may do it again. I'm not sure. I would think it would take a little bit longer than the way I'm going through, because the monks cannot use they cannot use any magic whatsoever. So except for, like, if you get certain weapons that have certain effects, they can use them then. But Jim spent a while trying to fight the last boss with 4 monks, and he was victorious, but it was a pretty long fight from what I heard from him. So it's one of those things where it makes the game a little bit more challenging. I'm going through the first one. I may be streaming some after maybe the first one. I may stream number 2. I may stream some Secret of Mana. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. There's a couple of different games that I want to do. If I do Secret of Mana, I don't know if you people call it Secret of Mana or Secret of Mana. I usually call it Secret of Mana because that's what I was used to. I'm only going to show you the main parts. I'm not going to show the leveling up because it takes too long, because there are some parts where you have to level up magic and weapons and it just takes too long. I will do those off the stream, just like I had done with a couple of the Final Fantasy things. I will do them off the stream. That way people do not have to watch that, because that is, even to me, it's boring to do, even to me. And but it has to be done, otherwise you can't fight some of the stronger enemies on the game. This Final Fantasy that I'm doing, I'm doing it off of a Game Boy Advance, an emulator that got the Game Boy Advance, and this particular number 1 has 4 secret dungeons that you can go into, but you want to go into them a little bit later after you level up, because they're a little bit difficult in spots. Some of them are a little bit difficult, and but you can get some really good weapons and armor and things out of them that you can use in the main part of the game, and that makes a big difference, especially toward the end of the game. So we'll be doing that, and like I said, we may do Final Fantasy 2 after this. I think the only one I don't have is Final Fantasy 3. I don't think I have 4 and 5. I started working on 4, not on a stream the other day, but just 4 in general. I know I have 6. I have 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I think I have 12. I know I've got 13. And I think I have 15. I think I'm missing 3 and 14. But 14's an online one that I've heard is just awful. And 3, I'm not really sure. And I'm not really sure. It might be able to find it on the Famicom, maybe. I'm hoping that's where I can find it. Or maybe somebody has done like a hacker and unlicensed one, which it may not be the same, but we can try it anyway. So we'll see when we get there. But that's kind of what we got coming up. So I want to thank everybody for watching, and we will see you next Tuesday with the rants again. Thank you for watching.